With hindsight, this category might not have been ideal for Christmas hangovers. It's stomach-churning solos. In this riskiest of categories, we've got a guy who's not taking it very seriously in third place. It's the stunt monkey in Australia, and fully kitted up, he's soloing Wonderland, a grade 20 in the Blue Mountains, and being filmed whilst doing it by Brad Szymanski. It might not be the toughest route in the world, but given that most people would be happy just to make it up a flight of stairs dressed like this, it's a pretty good effort. In second place, we've got Tom Randall, who featured on Climbing Daily soloing one of his favourite routes, the notoriously tough crack climb London Wall at Millstone Edge in England. Again, this might not be the hardest route in the world, but the video Tom sent us is so good we just had to show it again.
When I arrive in this middle section of the route, I have to be really careful to keep 100% focused on the climbing. Because whilst it becomes a little less physical, it's still very technical and the footholds are quite small. So I know that even when I've climbed this with a rope in this section, is that it's not that easy and you can't stray at all from your concentration, otherwise mistakes just lead to your feet skating and the climbing gets really dangerous again. As I set off from the 3/4 rest point and into the final crux sequence on the crack, I have to climb really decisively again. It's here that when you're leading it with a rope, you tend to fall due to being too tired or not having enough power. There's no room for error at all when soloing. The footholds and handholds are particularly poor, so it's really about being positive and focusing on each movement being absolutely perfect. Meters from the top of the route, and it's here that there's just one move where I'm never 100% certain about it, and you have to pull on one marginal finger lock.
And a little bit you have to be careful with.
And I make that move, and you kind of wonder how you were ever doubting it in the first place anyway.
Choosing a number one in this category is pretty easy these days, given that the greatest soloist to have ever lived is currently in his prime. Just as he seems to do every year, Alex Honnold upped the bar again in 2014 with his solo of El Sendero Luminoso in Mexico and Heaven at Glacier Point in Yosemite. Alex was filmed on Heaven by web design company Squarespace, who not only released their original advert, but also made a cut of the footage specifically for climbers. Sit back and relax, if you can.
When I'm looking up at Heaven, I'm mostly looking at the holds and sort of memorizing my sequence. Left hand, left hand, turn the knee. I have to psychologically commit to it. Decide, am I ready to do this? Do I want to do this? As soon as you step off the ground, you're basically looking at a 3,000-foot drop. Heaven is only 18 moves long, so I make 18 hand movements up the route, which is really short in climbing terms. And because it's so short, it basically packs quite a bit of difficulty into 30 feet of climbing. Every move by itself is pretty strenuous. Halfway up a solo, I'm normally pretty empty. I'm not really thinking about anything. I'm just sort of physically executing a routine. It'd be sort of like asking a gymnast what they're thinking about while they're doing the routine. Ideally, they're just executing it perfectly, and that's it. The satisfaction from finishing a route is sort of the same satisfaction that anybody gets out of putting a lot of hard work into something that means a lot to them and then finishing a goal. The route is called Heaven because it's the most amazing point in Yosemite. Big sweeping views, just that epic scale.
That's it for the first half of our 2014 top threes. Check back on Monday for more. Have a great weekend.